What are your expectations for the guy that was your superstar freshman this past season, Trae Young, at the next level?
Well, great things lie ahead. Great to be with you this morning. Appreciate that, and we're excited for Trae. He's worked hard. He's had a terrific freshman year, as you all know, and we'll keep getting better. And I think the NBA game is suited for him. The open floor, the transition, terrific passer, great vision, great creativity. He'll do well.
Do you coach a player different when you know it's basically a one-and-done player going through the season?
Well, you recruit differently more than anything else, probably. Although with Trae, nothing was expected like this coming out of high school. In recruiting, we talked about, his family talked about maybe two and done, maybe three. But when he blew up like he did, doing things in that first 12, 15 games that really had never been done in college basketball, it was obvious in December that he was going to be one and done. So we had a little bit of a heads up and a chance to recruit a little bit, but got a couple of fifth-year grad transfers at the point, and that worked out very well. And, again, anytime a young guy can do what Trae did and have that opportunity right off the bat, we're excited for him.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, led the NCAA in scoring and assists per game, which no player had done since 1983, 1984. And you said it's unexpected. Is there a challenge in adjusting on the fly when all of a sudden he exceeded expectations early on in the season? How did you have to adjust as a coach?
You go into the year expecting to do certain things offensively, defensively, and yet when a guy explodes like he did, especially as a freshman without much warning, you do adjust. You're always going to get the ball to the people that can make you most effective and create for others. And Trae not only scored, but he created for others and made a lot of good plays. Again, just a terrific start to a freshman year and a great freshman year overall.
I want to go back to, we're talking about Lon Kruger, Oklahoma basketball coach, again, Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2014. I want to go back to what you said, it changes recruiting. So between the time when you were the Pittsburgh State assistant coach back in 1976 to now, when you are going into living rooms to try and get kids to come to your program, what has been the biggest difference in recruiting these players?
Wow, Pittsburgh State in 76, that goes back a ways and brings back a lot of good memories. But, things are different today. Young people have the opportunity to play so much more in the summertime and against so many other good players in the summertime. Back there in the late 70s, early 80s, you might catch a guy against another good player occasionally in a high school game, and a little bit harder to determine, a little bit harder to project. And that's what makes Trae even more amazing. He's had a very good summer opportunity, had a very good high school career. You measured him against other good players, and still he exploded beyond anyone's expectations right off the bat. So I think the level of competition they get in high school, the opportunity to play against other good players, the social media today, of course, changes everything, both good and bad. So things are different today from what they were 35, 40 years ago.
Boy, there's no question about that. Lon Kruger, Oklahoma head coach with us, has taken 3 different schools to the Elite Eight, also coached in the NBA, the Hawks for 2+ seasons. The one thing I want to get into with Trae, because he's a one-and-doner, and now the NBA is talking about changing that rule. It is an NBA rule. It's not an NCAA rule. What's your take on whether or not that should be changed?
I think it's great. I think young people should have the opportunity to choose coming out of college. I don't know. I think that's going to happen, or coming out of high school. Sorry, I think that's going to happen. And yet I don't know what's going to happen on the other end. Can we, if you decide to go to college, do you stay for 2 years? Do you stay for 3, or do you still have the opportunity to go one and done? I hope. I'd like to see something happen to where if they do go out of high school to professionally, because a lot of them get bad advice. Most of them that do that won't play in the NBA probably, which is unfortunate. I still like to see them be able to retain some form of amateurism. If they go 2 years, realize they've made a mistake, then go back and have maybe the balance of their 5 years of eligibility remaining so they can get a degree and can be on scholarship and can, still, do that college experience. But that's probably way down the road. But I'd like to see something like that happen.
Lon, that makes a ton of sense to me because we've talked about this a lot on this show and also leading up to the NFL draft. You have guys that were first-round draft picks that were professional baseball players and got paid an exorbitant amount of money and were still considered amateurs when they came back to play a different sport. Kyler Murray, the Oklahoma starting quarterback, just signed a deal to play in baseball for over $5 million, yet he's going to be considered an amateur playing football. And I know the delineation there as well. It's in a different sport. But at the end of the day, if you're being paid to play a sport, and you can still retain some amateurism, why couldn't it be in the same sport? And to your point, to get that degree.
Absolutely agree. The young players coming over from Europe, there's a gray line there between amateurism. What have they been paid? What have they been provided as a young player in Europe before they come over to college in the United States? So I think certainly it could be, considered, I would think, and certainly if it's good for the young guy and it promotes the opportunity to go to college and gain a degree and gain that experience, then I'd love to see something done in that way.
Coach, you're no stranger to this scenario with what's getting ready to come up here. How would Trae compare in terms of readiness to Buddy Hield, who you coached a couple of years ago, was the 6th overall pick in the draft and was certainly well talked about there? How would you compare the two as far as how ready Trae is to enter this league?
Trae's 19 years old. Buddy's 23 probably at that time. So that 4 years difference is obviously going to make a difference. Totally two different skill sets. Buddy with the best shooter, the best player in the country his senior year, and just outstanding, unbelievable mechanics, unbelievable fundamentals. Trae, on the other hand, as a freshman, ball in his hands all the time, very good out of backcourt, pushing the ball in the open court. Be a different set of expectations. My, biggest area of interest might be to see, how fair are the expectations. Trae is 19. He is entering a world. Terrific confidence, terrific upside, but hopefully, people can be fair right out of the bat.